So apparently this government shutdown thing is actually getting pretty bad. They're about to yank EBT or something like that.
MSNBC's Alex Tabbitt is reporting on the ground in New Mexico, the state with the highest percentage of residents receiving SNAP benefits. Jake Sherman is co-founder of Punchbowl News and an MSNBC political contributor. And former Republican Congressman from Florida, Carlos Curbelo, joins us. He's an MSNBC political analyst. Jake, is there anything you realistically see happening in the next few days to turn this around?
No, I don't. A few things. Number one, there is a contingency fund that could backfill SNAP benefits, but the administration, the Trump administration, does not believe they are within the limits of the law to use that money to backfill SNAPs.
Oh man, I want to do it, but my hands are tied. That's what that is.
SNAP spends about $9 billion a month. That contingency fund has about $5 billion, but they've come to the conclusion, backed by Speaker Mike Johnson, that they don't have the ability legally to do that. So that's the choice, and that's the calculation and the choice that they have made. That's number one. Number two, there is a chance that the Senate could pass a standalone bill. Josh Hawley has a bill to backfill SNAP benefits. The House of Representatives isn't here. And if it does pass the Senate, which is no sure thing, then the House would have a really tricky calculus.
That would be so. I mean, right now, at least my perspective, it seems like people are blaming the Democrats. But if the Democrats put together, or if they just Congress, whatever, if they put together like a clean bill with nothing in it that just funds EBT, and the Republicans don't do it, it'll make them look bad.
To make in coming back. The White House, meanwhile, is not interested in these kind of one-off bills. They want to keep pressure on Democrats to open.
Yeah, because it wouldn't make sense. It would be like
the entire government.
It would be like, well, why can't you just pass that? There's nothing additional in there. It would also give them an opportunity to look good, you know?
Not just fill money into the SNAP account. So there's just a lot of, it's a lot of chicken going on between all the parties involved, and there's real impacts. I mean, if you look at it, and we put this in our newsletter this morning in Punchbowl News AM, if you look around the country, the front page of a ton of newspapers on Sunday, to the extent that people still read newspapers, and I hope they do.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Carried stories about SNAP and the challenges without funding, and food banks coming online and trying to make up the difference. So it's a real big problem, and this is a major pain point that Congress is going to have to deal with and be cognizant of.
Yeah, I do that too. I spend a lot of the early morning hours checking out local newspapers and local TV websites as well. So if it's led their 11 o'clock news or 6 o'clock news the night before, it's out there, no doubt. It's all over the papers in New Mexico because, Alex, as I said, about 1 in 5 people where you are rely on SNAP to help pay their grocery bills. So what are you hearing there?
That's a lot of people. 1 in 5? They're going to be hit hard. Oh, what kind of is this New Mexico? Here, I'll play it.
That's absolutely right, Chris. And what I've been hearing all morning, talking to both volunteers who work at food banks, but also clients of these food banks, is a mix of fear and frustration. Fear because, as you said, 1 in 5 New Mexicans.
New Mexico is a Democratic state, or mostly Democrat. So yeah, I mean, look, they're probably going to be mad at the Democrats, hands down.
Rely on SNAP. That's almost 500,000 people, 21% of the state, the highest state participation rate of any state in the country. And frustration because there's this feeling that I've been hearing about over and over again that the people on Capitol Hill and in the White House, who they see as responsible for this government shutdown, who stand in the way of putting meals on the table for themselves and their family, don't.
I'm really curious, like who people actually blame largely. I feel like people blame the Democrats, but that could just be from what I'm seeing. But I feel like if people were actually largely saying it was the Republicans' fault, the MSNBC wouldn't shut up about it. And I feel like they're intentionally being vague about that because what they're hearing is, not ideal.
understand their lives. But don't take this frustration from me, Chris. I want you to hear from some of the people who have been speaking to you today.
They're not suffering. They don't need the program. All of us that need the program
Who's not suffering? See, I feel like they clipped that like mid-sentence.
are the ones that are going to suffer. If they could put themselves in our shoes for one day and see how it
They definitely didn't show the question that was asked.
is to be able to live from day to day, just trying with the uncertainty of what's going to go on.
How are you feeling in this moment, knowing that that funding is set to?
Disheartened, lied to.
Been cheated and lied to.
Sad, scared, frustrated, upset.
It is not sustainable for food banks to fill this gap. We were not built to do this.
Yeah, no.
We will stand out there and we will do our very best.
Hell no. The SNAP program is like billions of dollars a month. Hell no, they can't keep up with that. Food banks are for people that are like actually like starving and gonna die. Like a box of beans for a family, for like a mom and 3 kids. They don't have any Twinkies, no Pop-Tarts, no soda, no chips.
And Chris, that first woman you heard from, her name is Juanita Manzanares. And while she's both a client of the food bank, the Food Depot, where I'm at right now, she's also a volunteer who spent the day in the last couple of weeks crisscrossing New Mexico, making sure people stay fed during this holiday season with this SNAP funding lapse deadline just around the corner, which really speaks to the community-based effort here to make sure people aren't going hungry. Chris?
Alex, thank you for that. You know, Congressman, I'm sure you heard the Republican Congresswoman, Ana Paulina Luna, say that the shutdown she thinks could go past Thanksgiving. But the New York Times reports, quote,
she don't give a
some
fuck.
are turning to side hustles like delivering food, walking dogs, and selling personal items to bring.
Oh, no, not side hustles. They have to work? Oh, my goodness.
Bring in a bit of income. Others are relying on food banks. They don't know how long they can hold on.
This might actually be, this might end up being a good thing. Like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's awful. I know a lot of people really depend on EBT and these programs. Like, they really need it. I mean, I know we all know that there's a lot of people that take advantage of it and milk the system, and they're arrogant about it, and it pisses everybody off. There's a lot of people that actually really do need it, and them not being able to eat is not cool. It's not good. But this might actually end. It might be a little rough, but it might actually end up being a good thing, you know? Because, I mean, they already got to, people that are getting EBT already got to start working 20 hours. So they can get a head start on that, start working. It'll be good. And then the people that really need it, you know, they can stay on it or whatever.
We've heard it from person after person after person. How long can Congress hold on?
Well, Chris, I think the big challenge.
They can hold on forever. They're all getting paid, or they've been paid. They're good. They can hold on for a long time. They don't give a damn. The Republicans can probably hold on a little bit longer than the Democrats, because they might start burning their houses down or something.
Here is that both parties feel supported by their base,
like Frankenstein,
voters,
yeah, like pitchforks
in
and
their
shit.
Current stances. You know, Democrats, the Democratic base wanted to see their party stand up to Donald Trump, show that they could be tough against Trump and congressional Republicans.
Yeah, man. You know, man, I mean, I'm sure, you know, the upper middle class white people that vote Democrat, that's what they wanted, but the people in New Mexico that are receiving food stamps and other government program benefits, I don't think they give a fuck about that. Or they give a fuck about that 1%. But as soon as they stop getting their benefits, all of that goes out the window. They don't give a fuck at all anymore. They just want to know when you're going to turn that shit back on. So, like, I don't know. You don't even pretend like that's the case.
So they don't feel any particular urgency, maybe.
Nah,
these new
bullshit.
Dynamics with unions
Bullshit.
asking to end the shutdown, that could pressure both parties. And then on the Republican side, you know, there's no pressure from the base either to reach any kind of compromise.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
with Democrats. The polling, although it seems Republicans are paying a higher price, there isn't that big of a difference in who the American people are blaming. So for now, I think it's status quo, as Jake said. I don't see this changing anytime soon unless there's more and more pressure, unless there's more pain like the one that we're seeing here in New Mexico and throughout the country that gets more attention and where people just start clamoring for some kind of change. But for now, it doesn't seem like anything is going to change the current dynamic.
Well, as we've been pointing out, Congressman, yeah, SNAP is not the only government program under threat. WIC, Head Start, they provide nutrition assistance to mothers, babies, small children. Essential Air Services, they subsidize airline service to small rural communities. I mean, you could go on and on about programs that are affected, but I think the thing to point out is they affect all states, red states and blue states.
Nah, that's cope. That's cope. Ask anybody. Ask anybody in a red state if they feel like they're being affected by this government shutdown. Ask them.
What is it?
I don't know who you're trying to convince, but it ain't working.
What's it going to take for the White House to see this differently?
I think, sadly enough, it's just going to have to get worse and worse, right, in terms of the impact out there, in terms of the local stories in each community. And maybe that can build enough political pressure that will reach one side or the other. And by the way, the sad part of all of this is that it really wouldn't be very hard for the two
to just sign the bill, like the original continuing resolution. No, it would not. You're exactly right.
Sides to come to an agreement, at least on having a formal negotiation on these Affordable Care Act tax credits that Democrats are championing. And that would also...
You want to waste any more time negotiating something when all you have to do is just sign the thing to fund the government? You want to waste even more time negotiating some shit that could take months to negotiate? Come on, man. That doesn't make any sense. Everybody knows that. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, I mean, maybe some people don't feel that way. To me, it seems like pretty obvious. It's common sense.
Have a major impact if that's not addressed throughout the country next year, especially in states like Florida, where there's a very high number of people that are subscribed to these plans because we're not a Medicaid expansion state. So I really do think, Chris, that it's going to take more and more pain that translates into political pressure in order to push these two sides to end this stalemate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, Jake, what that line is. I mean, maybe just because I have these people on my show every day talking about borrowing against their 401k, talking about when they're going to run out of money, talking about having to sit down with their kids and explain what's going on, that they can't have any extras. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Are members of Congress not hearing this?
They are. Well, first of all, let me address that. So yes, they are, absolutely, and both sides are just blaming the other side. So it's typical in this charged political climate that would happen. But I respect Carlos a ton, and I knew him when he was here. But I think he's wrong on one point and just one point only. It is difficult to agree to have this conversation when Mike Johnson just this morning said, I think these credits are bankrupting us. I think they're phony. They are going to bail out insurance companies. I mean, Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise and Tom Emmer are opposed to these tax credits. Like, I think this bears repeating. The thing that Democrats are asking for is something that House Republicans believe A, does not work, B, is broken, and C, goes against their principles, so to speak. So I actually don't think it's that simple. Now,
why don't you just fund the government and then you can hash that out later? Maybe it's because they know the only way they will be able to get something like this through is if they hold the government hostage. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, that's probably what it is. But I feel like people can see that. I feel like they're going to be pissing off the people that voted for them.
I am skeptical of this. I'm a skeptical person by nature. The White House says that they want to use this opportunity to launch into some full-bore discussion about health care and rejiggering and overhauling health care. I think they're going to try. I think House Republicans are going to try. But as Carlos remembers, this is a bad topic for House Republicans and has been so for 15, 16 years. I mean, so I think this is actually very difficult and very intractable at this point.
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, it's been built up into such a big thing now. Like, it's like one side has to cave. Like, they can't negotiate. Because if either of them negotiates or lets up, they're the bitch. Like, it's at the point now where, like, either you have to concede entirely, or conceding even just a little bit means you're conceding entirely. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to come to agreement. They got to totally, one person is going to win entirely, the other person is going to lose. It's crazy because EBT's never been shut down like this before. This would be the first, like, one of the first major breakdowns of like a public safety net, if you will, which is crazy because in the 50s, it's kind of when all these like public safety nets and government funding and big government spending kind of like really started. So this would be like, I mean, this is really kind of signaling like the dawn of a new era, really, for America. You know, whether that's good or bad, it's just definitely the institutions and the way the government has. And I'm not talking about the Constitution. This is like a relatively new concept, like a big federal government, taxes, a huge amount of taxes that people have to pay. The taxes get used to pay for social programs and get invested into, like, you know, big bureaucratic systems. You know, that's a relatively new thing. That's not a democracy, you know, 1776 thing. That started in the 50s, the CIA, the FBI, all that stuff. So, I mean, it really looks like that stuff's starting to break down. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens.